Psycho.
Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
Now you've done it.
Now I've done it. Knock on wood. We're not worried about it at all. Today is Thursday. It is May 8th. May the 8th be with you. And wherever you are, whenever you listen, it's time to rise up. This is your place for helpful news, commentary, answers to your crypto questions. We've had a great week of shows, packed full of guests, and today is no exception. At the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by our friend Stefaan from Akave Network. If you want to do a little Googling and GPTing and get your research ready and play along. We've got Scott, who says all about stocks today, and I'm sure one or two more folks will say all about Bitcoin as it flirts with that 100,000 mark, and my finger flirts with the all-time high sound effect. But we're not quite there yet. Next week, we're going to Consensus, and we are so excited, whatever the price does, to keep telling the story of Web3. We're building the future of the internet, and you, my friends, are invited. We even got Nill, who said he might come by a little later today, and I just can't wait for him to do it. What's going on with you, Alex? How you doing, man?
Good. It's like a little bit cooler this morning, which is really nice because if you're from this part of the world, it's that time of year where you start opening your door and it's dark outside and just heat hits you because it's just been almost 80 overnight. Ugh. So it's a nice little cool morning. You know, it's like 70.
70, cool. Yeah. We got cool weather coming in Toronto next week. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. Because I can bring out the knitted hat, I can wear a little sweatshirt,
You can dress.
I'm sad about the pool.
The pumpkin spice pirate.
About wearing I can be the pumpkin spice pirate. I was thinking about wearing a kimono at the pool because, what a great thing to do that would be. But, here we are. Here we are. This is your reminder that if you are watching us, listening to us now or in the future, the live show or the recording, that these are our only profiles. If somebody is messaging you claiming to be Alex or I or Will or somebody else from our space, Cosmic Crypto down there, Nill, anybody at all, that person is trying to leverage the trust that you have built to take your money. We will never message you first directly, and we will never spin up some sort of alternate account to try to sell you an investment or Bitcoin or get you to use a QFS wallet, but there are people who will. So the best defense is ignore them, block them, and use the official links at theriseupmorningshow.com to find my profiles, Alex's profiles, and of course all the great places to listen to the Rise Up Morning Show. And hey, speaking of Cosmic Crypto, did you see that they have welcomed a new baby into their family? So congratulations. Get them started young. Let us know if you're taking little drips of Bitcoin or something like that, and we can maybe surprise them as a welcome to the world gift.
Yes, babies. Congratulations on TGE.
Yeah, the launch was not a rug. Love it.
It is didn't get rug. It is obligatory that all of us make at least 2 or 3 really cringe. Like, how do we make this a Web3 pun?
Yeah, crypto
what are like congrats on the mint.
Yeah, Nill said 1 for 1 mint.
New
very
1 for
rare.
1, that's it. Yep.
Hey, and of course, got to give it a rise up, man.
Yes, we got to get onesies then.
Yeah, definitely, we need onesies. One of onesies. I don't know. It's almost sometimes worth, I think, having a baby just for the jokes. Kim and I will talk about it. She's like, we could just have a kid for this or for that. We could do it.
And you know what? That's horrifying. But that's possible.
It is possible. It is possible. Oh, hang on. I got Lucy the dog talking to me here. Let me know how it's going where you're going. If it's if it's now or in the future, and if it's the future, we hope your candles are green. And Consensus next week. I do want to point your attention to one resource, which is at the website, theriseuppmorningshow.com. At the very top of the website, if you are going to be in Toronto next week, then you can sign up now to attend the event that we're hosting, which is Thursday. Big shout out to our friend Joe. She hooked us up with a great location. We're going to be at the Ballroom Bowl on John Street in Ontario. We're going to have little bites, Little bowling, little blockchain conversation. It's going to be a great time. The only thing missing is you. Some of our friends are going to be there, and we'll be, talking to cool people at the conference that we meet saying, hey, you should come too. Hopefully there will be a lot of onboarding of everyday people who are not users yet. I am so excited to take my Ask Me Why Crypto Matters shirt for a ride. We got some good shirts. And we got some other good stuff too. Do you want to tell the folks back home what's been going on before Stefaan gets here? Are you about ready?
Yeah. You said before Stefaan gets here?
Before Stefaan gets here, because he gets here at 8.
Yeah.
And we got something else to tell you. And this is what it looks like if you're on TikTok and you can't see the event. That's the last thing I'll tell you. It's a link at Luma. We've got the link in the Discord, but the easiest place to get it is to go to theriseuppmorningshow.com. It's right at the top, right there. Sign up for Rise Up Live. It's our event at Consensus. We would love to see you there. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So, I guess a couple things for today. We've got two exciting little bits and pieces. So first of all, I am excited to host Stefaan. He has been around the block a little bit in the industry, working primarily in one of my favorite niches of the space. And he was a little self-conscious about the fact that it's the boring niche, but I think it's one of, if not the most important, data storage and different solutions. He was early Filecoin. So excited to get him to talk about that a little bit, and now at Akave. So stoked to talk about it, how some decentralized solutions are really not decentralized, talk a little shop about all that good stuff, but that should be good. So he'll be joining us at the top of the hour. And then we also do have some pretty exciting news to share with everyone. Finally, if you have either been, I feel like we've dropped some not so subtle hints, but
I know, right.
Beginning imminently with Consensus as the kickoff, the Rise Up Morning Show and Rise Up After Dark are very excited to welcome the new headline sponsor of the show, Polygon.
Whoa! That's right. If you couldn't guess from our swag, look at this swag, by the way. The Rise Up Morning Show, Rise Up Media, all your favorite Rise Up stuff. We're very excited to say that we're powered by Polygon. And I don't know about you, Alex, but we have turned down a lot of sponsorships. We've spent a lot of frustrating hours trying to figure out what sponsorship looks like for this show in a way that's like meaningful and viable. And I think this is really special. It's not just like a announcement. This is kind of a signal, I think, that companies like Polygon, who are building the future really truly, this is about alignment on values, on purpose. It's not just a commercial in exchange for some cash. We believe that the future of crypto needs trust, accessibility, real world connection. And Polygon, they've been one of the most important builders in our space for years now, not just for scaling Ethereum, but actually making it usable. They've become the infrastructure behind some of the biggest Web3 use cases out there, and frankly, some of the best merch in the game. They're powering consumer apps, gaming stuff, social stuff. They've got clients who are governments, Fortune 500s, independent builders, big ecosystem, and they're doing it all while trying to build on what Ethereum has already done. The values are open source, security, community. It's like a total mesh of alignment. And obviously we love Nill, we love Rudo, we love the people that we've gotten to work with over there. And I'm so excited to finally help them and hopefully some other companies get off crypto Twitter and start telling a big story about what they're doing. And I couldn't be happier to welcome our friend Nill to talk about it, because I know he's been excited to share about it too. So the cat's out of the bag, man.
Surprise. Hello. Yeah, nobody saw this one coming, right, gentlemen?
Oh, man. I love it. I love that you and Alex got the matching shirt. Before we got on the stream, I showed up and Alex showed up on camera, both wearing our hoodies.
Like, this is too much. We can't do this way.
It was too much.
I was like, I don't know, man. We can do it.
This is like, like a Spider-Man meme live, just like, you gonna say it? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. No, but I mean,
One of
you
us
can't
is going
hate
to have to change.
the purple shade though. It's really clean. Like it's a good color. So it's just like it's hard not to wear, honestly.
And I mean, we're starting the conversion, but there is one more important piece.
Hang on.
That we just have to.
Check
and
this
so
out.
Evan, if you'll hook me up with the screen share.
Yeah, wait. Let me go full screen for this because this is cute, man.
And Nill, I have to say, hold on to your butts.
Oh boy!
Boom!
Oh.
There it is.
You know what? That's all I needed. That's all a guy needs in life.
For the people in podcast land, we just switched the color of our little name tickers over to.
Let me tell you,
purple,
the commitment to the purple logo, it's a different level of commitment. So we'll be marking that down as, I don't even know, KPI achieved or something, or whatever.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, 100% delivered already. We're killing.
I mean, appreciate you guys work. I'll be wrapping up. Like if this completes like our relationship. No, but I just like, again, I see people in the chat like yapping about it. I think everyone knows how we're like really trying to approach this whole new dynamic, right? Like we understand a lot of companies are scared, right, to come over here and to jump off a platform they feel comfortable with. And for me as a creator, it was scary, right? I can't imagine it for like an entire brand that's like established like millions of followers and done that work. But when you boil it all down, what we come back to a lot is like just supporting great people that understand the why behind what we do here. And to be honest, like everyone kind of knows, I talked about a lot. We're not going to be like the flash in the pan, sexy. Oh my God, like Polygon, it's the monad of this year. You know what I mean? It's just not the direction where it is, right? And that's not a knock on monad. I love that team as well. It's just that's not our trend. So what we lean on is value-based creators that truly want to approach this space in a dynamic way so that people stay here long term, just as we approach the space, right? Like it's that long-term vision, it's that understanding. And like I can't imagine starting this off with a better group of people, right? The way that you all work, the consistency, what you all provide for the community, it's been great. So appreciate everyone that supports out there in the chat. Appreciate you too, like Will, everything that the team is doing. Next week's gonna be an absolute banger. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be really special, guys. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I am excited to be there with you in consensus. When do you head that way?
I'm getting there Tuesday morning.
So
I am sprinting there Tuesday morning. Me and Brandoff, my one other colleague here in Cleveland, are driving from Cleveland. So we're going to be leaving at like 5 a.m. to get there as soon as possible.
Let's go.
Let's get after it. Yeah, that's the roll.
Okay, man.
I have to say too, there was one like defining moment that stuck out for me as we were kind of, all of the behind the scenes getting ready to do this, talking about what it would look like. And it was a conversation that I had with Nill that kind of sealed the deal. So like Evan said, and, humble brag, we turned down a lot of sponsorships. Most of them don't even deserve a brag because anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together would say no to these. These are awful, right? They're not good for anybody. And one of the things that Nill said to me in the beginning was that he felt like they had dropped the ball in a couple places, and the admission that something didn't work and the desire to like try something new to improve it is a little, it's a piece of introspection that you do not see in Web3 very often. And that was the moment for me where I was like, I really want to do something here, because this feels like the area where I would get to just create the way that I want to create, powered by a large ecosystem, and get the help, get the visibility, get the push, and then just do what we love to do. And that's what I'm excited about. And I do have to say, Nill, just because you've told this story before, but a long time ago, in a previous time, early on in the Rise Up Morning Show's history, Nill mentioned to me that it was weird that we weren't focusing on Twitter. And I was like, my brother, Twitter is the pits, and no one is onboarding anybody in Twitter, and I will not be focusing on Twitter. There's no one there.
It took me 1 year to realize it. It still took me, and I get this stuff. That's the terrible part. Oh, it's hilarious.
But now we have all learned, and we've grown a lot. And again, the introspection is killer. So I'm as excited as I could be.
Yeah.
It's a really special time. And obviously like I think the one side of this is like how much more dynamic this can be just because of how you all approach the space, right? It's just like your audience, much different. It's that like, you know, it's an introspective, like intrinsic mind that wants to just dive deeper into topics and understand the why behind things. And it comes with like the three of you all who understand this space very uniquely from the approach of like, you know, not formally working in it, but just like diving deep in and understanding the why behind everything. So it's the perfect marriage for everything. There'll be some great stuff that we get to do over these next few months and just keep talking about how we approach this space, give great examples for why we're in a unique position for this next year. I'm encouraging everybody to just stay locked in because it's going to be a really exciting month and we're excited for it, obviously. So I'll let you guys go down. I know you guys had an interview and you guys want to yap about the news and do all your work. So I'm not here to be the formal Polygon guy on the first day, but next week will be a really special time. I appreciate you both a ton again.
Hey, man, we appreciate you.
I am a big fan of this.
Thank you, Nill. Thank you for hanging out. And thank you, Polygon. Proud to be powered by Polygon. We'll catch up to you soon, okay, brother?
Yep, appreciate you guys.
Bye for now.
I do have to say, sorry to run you. There is one more obvious thank you that has to go out, and that is to every single human being watching us now or in the future or in the community at any point or has watched the show at any point in the past. Like none of this would exist if you guys didn't choose to spend your mornings with us, which is really cool. In the words of Mike Shinoda opening one of Linkin Park's biggest tours, you guys could be anywhere in the world and you're watching us. And that's crazy. That's wild. But we really appreciate it. And none of this would be possible if that didn't happen. So
that's exactly
for real,
right.
Thank you.
And you know, it's not going to be a big commercial. We also want to hook you guys up. I have to tell you, just as a way of exciting stuff, they sent us some swag. But one of the first ways we want to figure out like a fun way to drive people's attention to discover some of the stuff that they're building that doesn't just feel like an ad read. So we got these killer backpacks. The branding is like super subtle. The quality's nice, and we're cooking up a giveaway for that. I've got a really nice like Nike hat that won't fit my big head, but will definitely fit somebody and make them look better on the golf course while they're like out there golfing with their Rise Up Morning Show mug. So it's like double looking better. And I think I'm keeping the socks for myself, but they have said that they'll give us some more swag. They've said that they'll send us some guests to talk about the cool stuff that they're building. And so we think we can make it the kind of thing that if there's something you want out of this, a piece of technology you want to understand better, want to understand the vision of the ag layer or what's DeFi like on Polygon, this is your show. So we will explore it together, powered by them, with a little bit of purple in our hearts. It's gonna be cool.
I think that's one of the most important parts, and then we can move on to the rest of the show. But
yeah, totally.
Like Evan said, this is your show as much as it is ours. So what you guys want to know, I'm completely committed to making this not a commercial. It's not going to be. And I want to create and provide information, insight, education about the stuff that you guys are interested in. So if there's something you want to see, just shout.
That's right. Yeah.
And it'll be included.
And for homework for people who don't know, there's 0x Polygon on X. You can find them at Polygon Technology online, polygon.technology. We'll throw the links in the show notes. Or honestly, they're so big, you can Google Polygon Crypto. You will find them. We'll explore them. And I can't wait, man. Congratulations. This is really killer. So I do want to redirect us with one comment that I will never not love, which is somebody scrolled through and said, you guys look like two versions of the same dude from another mother, like brothers from another mother. And I said, my favorite comment will always be that you look like two guys, the same guy in different fonts. And DeWoofy, also friend of the show, what's going on, said, Evan is definitely Wingdings. So let us know what font you think Alex is. And if you've got a good joke or word of wisdom before our guest Stefaan gets here, let us know. If you want to play along, the URL is akave.ai, and Akave is spelled Akave. And Stefaan is at Stefaan, Stefaan, Web3 on X. You can check him out, but we're going to talk about it. So everybody in the chat's like, hey, Where's Will? He's not around for the unveil. And also, what is going on with Bitcoin? So first, Will, he's on vacation. And when you're on vacation, you take your mental break. You get your peace. So when he comes back, I promise you he will probably have something.
We'll tell him about the sponsorship.
Fun. He knows about the sponsorship. Don't worry. He knows about the sponsorship, but I don't know. We got to get his take on it. I do really miss having Will here, so this is what I'm going to do. And I'm also going to give it a big and I know exactly what he would say about the sponsorship, which is
it's the perfect time to buy.
And also the fact that Bitcoin is flirting with $100,000 again.
Yeah.
Begging the question, is now a good time to buy?
Yeah.
Is it too late to get in?
Yeah, it's now a good time to buy.
Yeah.
It's the perfect time to buy.
So Bitcoin, yeah. I, like you, don't look at the charts and find out about these kinds of things as they're happening in real time.
Literally from you guys.
So let's
every day.
Let's answer the questions that people want to know. Is now in fact a good time to buy? Is this the rally that we've been waiting for? Are we dipping back down to the 70,000s? And the answer, frankly, is I don't know. Fortunately, Alex, I've got the 8-ball, which says,
thank God.
Check this. Sell the news. So, anyone's guess. Of course, there have been some big headlines for Bitcoin lately, two of which include states adopting a strategic reserve. New Hampshire earlier this week said that they changed a policy that would allow public institutions to hold crypto on their balance sheets. As a state, they became the first to announce a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Arizona quickly followed suit, and we've talked about this on the show before, where it will happen slowly and then likely all at once. It would not surprise me if our like Dennis Porter, who've been working on this kind of thing behind the scenes, have planned big announcements to come in succession with the states they have been onboarding to the concept of a strategic reserve.
Yeah.
Do you know if we have any others in the pipeline? If not, I can find that out. But, what do you think about this? Institutional and governmental adoption. Who else is on deck?
I mean, there's a bunch of states on deck. The thing is, though, that it's really hard to say who is where in the process because they're all handling it a little bit differently. Not every single bill is identical. They are all at different stages of the legislative process. But I think that one of the things that's communicated above all else is that if Bitcoin were to dip, there is most people don't care. I think that used to be a much bigger concern because there was always this specific question like, this could be the last time. What if this is the last time? And I think that to some degree that still exists in some places, but I think more and more and more, the floor is being established as just an asset that is just not going anywhere. And that is reinforced constantly every single time one of these things happen. Funny you should mention Dennis because I just pinged his office yesterday saying I would love to get him back. He's come on the show several times now, and it is definitely time for an update. And that guy is so good at clear and concise updates and cramming as much information as you could possibly need in like a 20-minute segment. He's also one of the busiest people I know. And I'm hopeful that we can get him probably after consensus. I think we'll get back in, get settled in, and let him find some time in his schedule to come back and give us an update on the different states' processes and who is where, and if he's feeling good about some or not good about others or more confident elsewhere, whatever. So, but no, I think like as far as the markets are concerned, like as I look at this, we all know I'm not a big trader. I'm not like staring at the charts. I'm not someone who would say that they're good at TA. I know the very basics of reading a chart, so I just really don't. When I look at a rally and try to answer for myself, like, okay, how do I feel about where we are and what I would like to do? Am I looking at, more aggressively taking profits? Am I scaling that back? How am I implementing my plan? I look at this and I just see this kind of gradual, measured reclaiming of the 100,000. Like, I think it would have been different if we were high 70s, low 80s. And then in the span of 2 days, we were back at 105. In that sense, I would be telling people like, hey, maybe don't top last this right now. But again, it's Bitcoin. So if you're planning on holding forever, who cares? But I don't know, Evan. I like looking at it. It just gives me more like, okay, let's just get this thing back to where it's supposed to be. We've got a lot of uncertainty. People are trying to wrap their heads around stuff. Gold is doing well, by all accounts. Bitcoin is better in many respects, I would say. So maybe it doesn't necessarily need to crash all the way back down again. And something that I think is interesting is that through all of this tumult, granted, we don't know what could happen, in the future. Of course, it's a chaotic time. The floor that has been historically established for Bitcoin has been the price on the election, which is low 70s. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head.
Yeah, we're talking about, I think it's a mid 70s. It's like 76 or 78.
Well, and back it up a little bit because it's a little bit lower than that. Yeah, we're
when
talking
did
about
it was November 8th, right? Am I nuts? When's our election? November 4th? Golly, what a citizen.
Yeah, there you go. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about right around 70, like as we crossed into it. It was like 70, 71. And historically, that has not been broken. There is always room to break that, but I feel like what we can say, like as you look at those points there, right? Those kind of larger
These
dips
jagged
down.
dips, yeah.
Those did not last long at all. And I would imagine that if we started to trend back in that direction, it also wouldn't last. So that I'm like, I don't know. I can't express that I'm like how little I'm worried about Bitcoin, but of course, what does that mean for short-term price actions? Anybody's guess.
Nill says, golly, what a citizen, has been said like 3 times ever. Hey.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
We're all about novel words here. And I want to say, too, like, we would be remiss. If Will was here, you know exactly what he'd say. He'd be like, well, actually, the most important thing is going to be Trump talking about the stock market. Like yesterday, Trump teased a big trade deal. And we know that at least for now, the crypto market is following the stock market. The crypto market is following Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is following the stock market. So why is this up? Why is this up? Why is this up? XRP is up because Bitcoin is up. ETH is up because Bitcoin is up. And Bitcoin is up because after Trump teased this trade deal yesterday, as far as I can tell, that was the big catalyst. Jerome Powell, he kept it steady. Donald Trump jumped in to shake things up a little bit. Big trade deal coming, big stuff. And the market goes, the market is kind of suppressed right now in that regard. We're waiting for some good news about tariffs. We're waiting for some good news about trade. We're waiting to buy more Bitcoin. Institutions are waiting for the green light. I did learn this, Alex, that I forgot to share but wanted to share with our people, that I don't know how, I'd want to ask Dennis this. Arizona's bill, their new regulation for Bitcoin, allows the state to take ownership of abandoned coins in the event that the owner ignores messages sent within 3 years. So, I mean, it's also going to make Bitcoin investments. I feel like 3 years for somebody who's like just buying Bitcoin to set it and forget it and might be like not. Are these messages on like your hardware wallet? Like somebody sends you a dusting amount of Bitcoin with a tiny message attached that you've got to read on your ledger? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no.
That would be terrible. What are they going to do? Get your private key? Knock on your door? How are they, Ooh.
I think it's nonsense. But I think that the thing that it communicates to individuals, to holders, the reason that it would establish a bull case is even if it's dumb and impossible or just not conceivable to implement, it indicates that states are interested in acquiring some and are trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And they are trying to figure out how they're going to navigate because we've seen the reaction generally to like using taxpayer dollars to fund the building of a reserve in an asset like this was not well received by anyone outside of the community. And honestly, even inside the community, there's a lot of hesitation and skepticism about that. But what does it communicate? It communicates that, hey, these entities, whatever they are, be they, federal or state or local governments or institutions of any size, want the asset and need to figure out how to get it. And while they're figuring out how to get it, guess what? We can get it. And if nothing else, it just makes me even more allergic than I've ever been to selling it. Like I said yesterday, I had the first time that I've ever been asked if I wanted to pay somebody in Bitcoin unprompted without knowing that I was a nerd. And although maybe, I don't know, maybe it's Maybe it's easy to tell.
Maybe.
I'm not ready to face that yet. The point is,
it's a Polygon shirt for me, man.
well, I wasn't wearing it yesterday, but I don't know. So that's what I took it as. Like, I don't really care how ham-handed your approach is to getting it. What I took from that is Arizona wants Bitcoin, and I would like to not give it to you. I want to have it myself. So guess what? I'll get a little bit more because, why not? I don't have enough.
I know that's right. I also had some other news headlines for you that might be of interest to our folks, which is that today is the day that a judge will sentence Alex Mashinsky, who was the founder and former CEO of Celsius, the now defunct crypto lending firm, that in just a few hours, President Trump will reportedly unveil the framework of a deal that he is making with the UK at a press conference at the White House, but he might say something else. Watch out for that.
It could be building the world's biggest gift shop in Alcatraz, and the terrifying thing is that is just as likely as what you said.
Yeah. Also, worth noting, someone in the comments was asking, "What do you think about Eric Trump's statement that TradFi will go bankrupt?" I think it's in his interest, as like now the owner of World Liberty Financial, a part owner, the son of the crypto president and that kind of thing, to go on the news and talk about how morally bankrupt TradFi is. And if you're into crypto, then come check out what we're building at World Liberty Finance. I think it's in his interest to pump his bags. That's what I think. I don't think it means that the TradFi system is going bankrupt. You don't have to be too worried about that anytime
all of
soon.
his brain cells are focused on making himself more money. So.
And the last thing I want to tell you about is if you need something to watch this weekend when the Rise Up Morning Show is off the air, have I got a show for you. Our friend, Commissioner Hester Peirce, is leading the Crypto Task Force. You know this. The SEC Crypto Task Force is having another roundtable from 1 to 5:30 Eastern on May 12th. So Sunday, I do believe. The theme is tokenization, moving assets on chain where TradFi and DeFi meet. I think it's going to be riveting.
See, okay, this is why another reason that what Eric says is just stupid. These things are not necessarily in competition. Like, if you think about, this is something I kind of wrestle with as I look for like easier and better ways to explain why this might matter, because I will never forget an insight that I got, and I did not come up with this. This was given to me in a comment, and it was a genuinely asked question, and it was so good, and I've been thinking about it ever since. If all of the people in crypto, the people who run these ecosystems, run these networks, sell these tokens, do whatever, are so anti-dollar, why are they constantly trying to sell me more things to get my dollars? And I've never not thought about that. And I think it just goes to reinforce this idea. One of the reasons stablecoins are so exciting, because I'll go on record, this is an opinion, this is a belief. I am open to being proved wrong, but like, this is kind of where I'm at right now. I don't see a world wherein the fiat currency, the traditional finance system, disappear. Nowhere soon. I don't believe that's on the horizon. I could be wrong, definitely. But to me, the first more logical step is reinforcing it and adding the transparency layer to it through tokenization and improving velocity and increasing access to these different pieces. I think it's the forced revolution amongst the world financial system.
I mean, sorry, go ahead. I was going to add to that.
Because if you think about the way that it's been built and set up, it's meant to be very exclusive. And now 100%. We figured out how to get in there. I don't think the system's going anywhere. I think it's going to get bigger, to be honest. And I think it's going to be reinforced by the protection layer and the power layer that tokenization and decentralized aspects and protocols can add to it. Because at the end of the day, most, if not everybody, is still selling stuff for fiat.
Oh, totally.
Watching Eric Trump say TradFi is going bankrupt while he's just selling his own token for more money and cashing it out regularly is laughably stupid, and should tell you everything you need to know about where his brain is at.
Yeah, and the movement of assets is going to stablecoins in a big way, but stablecoins are propping up the hegemony, at least for now, of the US dollar. Stripe just unveiled that they're I mean,
I wouldn't say propping. I would say empower. Yeah.
Yeah. Stripe just unveiled this new stablecoin feature that's gonna give stablecoin access to like billions of people in over 100 different countries. It's like a acquisition they did of a company called Bridge for $1 billion. And latest reports say that World Liberty Financial's USD1 stablecoin market cap has gone from 130 million to over 2 billion since last month. So, I mean, there's stat after stat after stat about how people are moving dollars specifically on chain, or how dollars are being generated and then acquired by new holders. Stablecoins are going to keep that going for a minute.
If the llama decides to participate this morning, which doesn't look good so far.
What's going on with DeFi Llama? Did we do something? Is there are we missing?
I don't know. I think they've been adding so many things. I wonder if it's just struggling. But I don't know. I don't know if it's just me or if someone else can like run a test and see if it like loads, because it's been every morning for the past.
When you do
days.
it, I do it, and it never loads for me either. So I'm just going to assume the answer is no. We still love you, DeFi Llama, but
come on, man.
Absolutely die on this hill.
Got to give you a little bit of a.
But one of the metrics that I always check there is a couple things, especially lately, the increase in overall RWA assets on chain, which is up every day. And overall stablecoin market cap, which is in the 200s of billions and also increasing. So it's that idea. It's the idea of bringing things on chain to use them in different ways that you haven't been able to before, to increase velocity, to open up access without wanting to necessarily gamble at the same time. And so what's the lower risk way to do it? It's a stablecoin.
Yep.
I mean, I am quickly becoming a stablecoin maxi. Anyone who's listened to me more than 2 days in a row has probably heard me say it 15 different times, and it's going to get worse. I am sorry in advance. But when I think about like a high yield savings account and, you know, the hoops you'd have to jump through and the process of opening the account and funding it and keeping it funded and keeping things there and it being super low velocity. I mean, like think about how many steps, if we want to talk about like barriers, if you had money in a high yield savings account to earn that 4 or 5% interest, whatever it is, if you're fortunate enough to find one of those, and then you need to spend it. Okay, well, I've got several steps. Or I could get the same interest rate, if not better, with, I mean, by comparison, lightning fast velocity to move it and do something else with it at, you know, a moment's notice. And I don't need to ask anyone's permission to do that, because guess what? It's my goddamn money and I want to do something with it.
It's my goddamn money is going to be a new soundbite. Guess what? It's my goddamn money.
You know what? Honestly, Evan, that's a great shirt. Like that's a great, like, without saying DeFi or crypto shirt. It just black with white text. It's my goddamn money. Because for real, honestly, that is the thing that kept me in the space.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. It's a great onboarding tool. It's my goddamn money. Saying that in a USDC to $2 t-shirt just hits different.
That's the back. That's the back of the shirt right there. I will get, mark my words, USDC is going to follow me.
Dude, and like you are on it on Twitter. If you want something fun to see, go over to X and check out Alex's replies. Every time USDC tweets something relevant, he's right in there with like a, you know, it would make this bet, like the perfect, not even like a shilly thing. It's just like they set you up so well.
They do.
USDC
I feel like
$2, man.
In my little delusion, you know, I'm like the fanboy that believes that the famous actress is talking to him in their, you know, completely unrelated social media post. But like USDC just posted the other day, USDC is blank, and I just wrote going to $2, obviously, and they just keep setting me up perfectly. So I don't know. I'm gonna get that follow. You mark my words.
You are gonna get that follow. Hey,
the show is not sponsored by USDC, but goddamn.
If I ever make a dream. Did you see, speaking of stablecoins, we're talking about the Genius Act. It's been advancing along. It is the legislation that is most likely to get approved, but it looks like it's gotten a lot of resistance as it heads to the Senate, and that's happening today. Did you see Elizabeth Warren's video about it? Right on time, man.
No, but that is one, like, I refuse to admit defeat there, because here's the thing. It's really easy to hate on her opinions, and I think that it's warranted. but I think context is important.
Yeah.
And I just like, I know from talking to people that know her that it is an extreme, it's not from a desire to be evil. It's an extremely misguided like sense of purpose.
That's what I get to.
And she's completely walled off, which is not healthy. Like this is not a defense. This is the problem. I'm trying to more specifically identify the problem so that a solution could be worked on. I want this to be abundantly clear. Like, I'm not a fan of this. I have posted several videos and long ranty tweets about how disappointing this is and how like unhelpful I find it and how I believe it goes in the face of everything they purport to stand for, all these sorts of things. Me and the progressives have beef over DeFi because if you are a self-labeled progressive and you're anti-DeFi, I think you're full of shit. You're straight up lying or you're completely misinformed and refusing to learn, which is not good. But that's what it comes from there specifically. An unfortunately horribly misguided sense of purpose and the complete refusal to intake new information because of an inherent bias and distrust towards those trying to pass that information on. And the fact that there is so much vitriol and hatred coming out of the space towards it, again, not necessarily unwarranted, but not being delivered helpfully, I don't think that conversation can advance, especially with how political this whole thing has become. And it's one of my missions to fix that. Like, if I could work on any one specific thing, it would be that. It would be connecting with the Progressive Party and trying to get a straight answer. Can one of you articulate to me why you are anti-DeFi? Because it should be everything you want. It should be.
Let me ask you this, though, because I, of course, agree with you. Crypto is a nonpartisan issue. We need to tell a better story so folks realize that. In this specific and particular instance, while Elizabeth Warren is quite walled off to it, for all those reasons you mentioned, completely. The specific talking points that she has been touting, I find myself agreeing with and convinced by, not to the same conclusion that we should scrap the stable bill, but for folks who are unfamiliar, let me read them in real quick. She's alleging that the Genius Act, which is going to give us some helpful regulation about how we can, as a people, use stablecoins, start legislation that helps us facilitate adoption. She argues that this is going to provide regulatory cover specifically for Trump's USD1 stablecoin. She's concerned because it's backed by a lot of foreign capital. You know, anybody can go to World Liberty Financial and get a big bag of this stuff. And a lot of people who have foreign interests or just straight up foreign interests themselves have gone over and driven that figure. I mentioned a second ago that market cap for USD1 has gone from 130 million to 2 billion in just the last month. And it's new. And people are trying to influence Trump. They buy his meme coin, they buy his stable coin, they're participating in World Liberty Financial. And her argument is that the president's gains signal a conflict of interest. So I heard from her, not so much that, you know, stable coins, which in the past she said, you know, crypto is just a tool for criminals to launder money. She has said that in this particular instance, the Genius Act will pave the way for people who are interested in corruption, cronyism, etc., to use this act as sort of a financial cover. And I gotta say, I don't know the bill well enough to know what it enables on that, in that regard. I do know it's going to open the gate probably for banks to launch their own stablecoins, probably for anybody who wants to do it. And I think it's kind of like internet legislation. The internet in more people's hands is a good thing. It means more people will do bad stuff with the internet. And I think this is no exception. I don't think it's worth throwing the baby out with the bathwater because I think the bill would be huge to put dollars into the hands of everyday people who can't get them now.
That is a good way to tee up my specific beef with her approach and the approach of other critics here, because it's not even that the concerns are unfounded or unwarranted. We, of course, have to be concerned about conflict of interest and the ability to be corrupt potentially in a new way that is harder to get a hold of or harder to track or harder to do whatever. Like, these are all valid concerns. But the thing that pisses me off about government is that they spend so much time arguing about the concerns without talking about the fact that, like, you could do something to mitigate the concern. Is the concern big enough to where it's not even worth experimenting? Almost never. What's the worst that could happen? They also act like legislation is like final. So like you put something in place. Okay, guess what? It's not perfect. Fix it. Like, do your goddamn job more than once every 6 months, and maybe something could get done. You know what I mean? But it's just like it's like Spaceballs all over again. It's like you come back and you whine at each other for a little bit, and then you prepare to go on a lengthy ass vacation, and then you come back and talk about how long the vacation was, and then you prepare to go on the next one. So I don't buy it. I don't accept that as valid. I just like the concerns are valid. So figure out a way to fucking fix it. What do you want me to do with that? Like, hey, there's a potential problem with that. Like, yeah, your job is to mitigate the problem. Thank you for reminding me why we literally elected you. Do the thing that you're supposed to do. Don't tell me like I didn't elect you for you to describe problems to me and then never fix them. Like, I say all the time, I wish I could be that bad at my job and keep it. But it's just like, you should be ashamed. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. So I don't know. I don't buy it.
Yeah, that's fair. Alex, I do have to tell you, speaking of problems that people have, the problem with the llama might be on our end. Maybe, like Tori said, we need to clear our cookies because Robert says no issues getting into llama.
Okay,
Thank you, Robert.
Sweet.
I really appreciate that.
I'll try that.
And if you've got a question, if you've got a suggestion, a good joke, or word of wisdom, let us know. This is the place for it. Even if you're not listening to the live show, wherever you are, whenever you listen, hello. We hope your candles are green. Joseph has a question. We'd love to hear yours. He says, do you think Warren is corrupt? This is interesting because I feel like most politicians are like most business owners. They have vested interests. They have biases. They have things that influence them, whether that's, allegiance to values, to constituents, the way that they were raised in the world. I would say most people, generally speaking, are not good or evil. I don't believe personally in this idea of corruption, that a person is inherently bad. I think incentives are bad. And people are incentivized to do things that are against the interests sometimes of other people. What do you think?
I think that this is the thing you and I disagree the most aggressively on, because I completely disagree. I don't disagree that like incentives are bad, but I don't know. I've seen enough to feel confident in saying that some people just suck and they're just genuinely bad people for the sake of being bad.
They just let you down over and over.
The in answer to the corruption problem, here's the problem. This is one of those areas where I would say largely, like, of course there are corrupt politicians, it's plain as day, but also the system is set up to put them in that position. Because when you're a freshman in that world, what do? You try really hard to get something across, something passed, but you have no clout. How do you get clout? You concede something. You work with someone. All of a sudden, you're green, and someone who's a master system manipulator just got you to agree to something that now they can hold over you. And now all of a sudden you're into it, and you're beholden to this, that, and this if you want to get your thing passed. And then it gets butchered, and then what sees the light of day is not what you originally wrote, but you're already signed on to it because your constituents put you there to do that thing. And now you're in a lose-lose-lose situation, and the whole thing is broken. So Washington just has the tendency to intake really like hopeful, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed little freshmen and to spit out grizzled, corrupt people who are trying to navigate a broken system that they had no hope of using properly in the first place. So I do want to read in our guest who is patiently waiting and ready to come up. Evan, do you want to do the honors?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Thank you so much for making time to hang out with us, making us part of your day. And we extend that greeting to our friend Stefaan from Akave. They are working just like us to build the future of the internet, and we cannot wait to have this conversation. Stefaan, welcome to the show. I was asking you backstage because this is the first time we've had the chance to talk. How do I pronounce your full name?
Stefaan Vervaet. It's Belgian.
Vervaet. I was not sure if it rhymed with cat or late or what, so Stefaan Vervaet. Man, thank you so much for making time to join us. Do you want to take a second and introduce yourself to the folks back home?
Sure. I'm the CEO of, hi, I'm Stefaan. I'm the CEO of Akave. I'm based out of Puerto Rico, and I'm focused on bringing data sets on chain or allowing users to take control over their data. I see my camera just disconnected, unfortunately. Let me fix that.
Don't fret about it. Take your time. And While you come back, I do want to tell you, Alex teased your appearance and the conversation that the two of you had by saying that when you were talking, you introduced your job as being kind of boring. What you worked on is kind of boring. And then Alex said you proceeded to have a fascinating conversation about data storage, the problems with the way we do it now, and the kinds of solutions that crypto technology might enable. So I'm really excited to get into this because something people talk about on our show and in our audience is, okay, great, we're going to have like fast, cheap payments. We're going to have a decentralized stablecoin or whatever, but we're still going to use AWS for the internet. How are we going to get around that?
That's right. Yeah, very important question, because a lot of people talk about finance, not necessarily about data these days. And I think there should be a bigger conversation around that.
Yeah. So tell us more about your role in it. How did you come to be solving this particular problem? Or maybe the problem is a good place to start. Like, what is the state of the problem on the internet with people's data now?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you definitely, if you look at how our digital footprint or how our behaviors online are being monetized, it's scary that now in the last 2 years with this new AI movement, or all these newer LLM models that are coming out are so powerful that some of these models probably are getting to know you better than yourself. And it's easy to like just use the tools that are available. I use the tools on a daily basis as well, but then you realize that as you're using tools that are hosted by some central entity, some central company for profit, you're actually your data, your digital data or digital footprint, your digital IP, I call it, our own IP, is actually being used to improve systems that can be shared with others. And so one of the main problems that I'm seeing and why we build Akave is that today users don't really fully have control over their own data. It's stored and managed somewhere in the cloud. And now with these new LLMs, it's being interacted with and actually being used to train smart agents or AIs. Okay, let me see. It seems like I can a little bit
we're getting just a little bit of glitch from you, and I wonder if turning your video off or maybe adjusting the settings at the bottom might work. And while you do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a quick screen share to the folks who might want to play along at home. I flashed it on the screen, but for the people who are living in audio land, you can find Stefaan at Stefaan, Stefaan Web3 on X, and you can check out Akave by going to Akave Network, AKAVE Network on X, or their website, akave.ai. And we'll be looking at that in a second. If you need it, it's going to be in the show notes. And if you're watching live and you can't see Stefaan's beautiful face, you can come on over to YouTube or Twitter and get the screen share. Yeah, absolutely. So as you were, my friend. So this is a big problem on the internet today.
Yeah, it is. It is because, if you look at how many, services we all use, and of those services, all of them are running, are hosted by a central entity. It's crazy to see how much information of yourself is being controlled by central entities. And today, a lot of businesses as well understand the value of their data sets and are trying to monetize their own data sets by training LLMs on top of these data sets. But even these businesses are, concerned in sharing those data sets because it contains so much information, and they don't want to share that with external businesses. So what we're seeing is that in the business, that AI actually has a data problem, meaning the actual most valuable data sets that you need to train your AI agents are actually behind firewalls or behind data walls. And these data walls are typically controlled by the cloud or by central entities. And so one of the goals here is that users will be able to take control through blockchain primitives by taking control over their own data sets. What does that mean from a day-to-day basis? Imagine you're going to a doctor, and you can take your healthcare documents with you, and you control who has access to your documents at what time, and no central EHR system controls it. We all know that space, definitely in the healthcare, is very monopolized by some big players. And so there's a few, platforms where you have to go and register to get your medical records. But why is that? Even though it's heavily regulated, right? You have HIPAA compliance, and every provider has to adhere to that. But in the end game is that you would control that, and the way you control it is by using cryptography. And I'm always laughing when I use the word crypto with people that are not in this space. People are scared. Oh, it's a scam. But when you say, hey, wait a second, crypto stands for cryptography, and cryptography means security. And, so it's actually a good thing. It so happened to be that the word crypto has sort of like gotten a negative connotation with all the scams that have happened. But at its core, it is very secure, and it's there because it is so secure in a way that it allows us to take back control, and there is no need for an intermediary, meaning a central entity that kind of does a transaction for us. No, I mean, the technology is so secure that you can do a peer-to-peer transaction yourself. And that's being implemented now in every use case that we're seeing today. And it's going, obviously, a lot of users are looking at payments because DeFi and the financial institutions were under attack after 2018, and Bitcoin came out, and then Ethereum and other altcoins, and but today it's so much more than improving the financial system, right? It goes into everything we interact with today, and the same thing is happening with data, because in the same way that you have decentralized financing, we're seeing a movement of data monetization, and you could say it's decentralized data ecosystem, and definitely what has spurred that and has accelerated it is this new way of interacting with your data, which is the OpenAI and all the LLMs that you have available to yourself now are just making it a lot easier to interact with your data sets and also with your digital footprints. So it opens up a whole new opportunity for all of us, but also it's also scary, because at the same time we're seeing a lot more agents that are being built, smart agents that are sort of like agentically, eventually, again, there's a whole movement of agentic AI, where these agents would act with their own agency on your behalf. And so the question I was like, is that how much of good does that bring to us versus how much of bad does that bring to us? Because in the same way that it can help you automate your life, it could also attack you, right? Or attack businesses. And so there's definitely a lot more focus on data privacy. And yeah, so lots to talk about, but it's a very exciting, exciting space.
It's super exciting. And I think what I want to just emphasize for people is, again, crypto is notorious as currency, but the crypto in cryptocurrency stands for cryptography and will be used for so much more than money to make the information that matters to you truly yours, at your whim, at your discretion. It will help you ensure privacy. It will help you ensure freedom. And I think that's killer. It's important for everybody, every day, all the time, increasingly in a world where we give so much of ourselves as who we are becomes increasingly digital away. You know what I mean, Alex?
I think I wanted to back it up just for a quick second to say all of these problems that Stefaan is talking about are so important. It's one of the big draws of this industry, but sometimes I know that it can be kind of hard to visualize or realize like how this directly affects you. And I think that that's kind of one of the reasons that education on something that might on its face seem a little bit boring is so important, because it really explains what most of us are doing here. And the core problem that you're getting at, Stefan, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this idea that like as we exist in the world, doing all the things that we do, becoming increasingly more and more and more digital, along with that, our finances get more and more and more digital. And not only are we generating data based on things that we're interested in, like the content that we watch or the things that we look at or, you know, search for, but also in the things that we pay for and we buy and the things that we do and spend. And in a world where attention is money and we spend a lot of our time online giving attention to things, people have to figure out how to make money off of that. And so what happens is that data is generated when you do everything. And most of the time, you're not even aware that that is a process that's happening behind the scenes constantly. Every time you click on anything, look at anything, linger for a certain amount of time on a different piece of a website, watch something, save something, buy something, all of it makes data. That data gets collected and stored places, and it gets sold for lots of money to lots of different people. And this is the nature of many gigantic industries in advertising and e-commerce and finance. And the problem here is that there is no good reason that you should not be allowed to participate in the generation, the collection, the storage, and the sale for profit of things that would not exist if you were not here making them happen. And that's, I believe that is one of the most important problems that we can solve. And it should tell you a lot that as you sit here and try to learn about this, it sounds like a conspiracy theory. That's by design. It's by design that the biggest industries who are threatened by all of us realizing like, hey, wait a second, you're literally stealing from me every day and making a shitload of money doing it. Can I have some? No, you're crazy. That's not happening. It's just you're just being gaslit all the time, and all of that is by design because of who is threatened by this becoming public knowledge.
Well, and Alex, think about some of the ways they dissuade you. You don't want to maintain your own server, do you?
It's so clunky.
It's so
You don't wanna deal with
expensive.
that. No.
It's difficult. You can use this for free. We're going to make it easy for you.
Mhm.
It would be hard to do it another way, and
Here,
we're not
buy
going to
this.
charge you anything for it. You know what I mean? Like it's weird the way that
Yeah.
it's framed. And to be fair, like that is a convenience. It is a problem that right now most people would have to have a lot of technical know-how, take on some expense to do things to custody their own data, at least in a world that is like before crypto.
But my cherry on top, before I kick it back to Stefan here, would just be to say that, Evan, you and I say this all the time, the problem is what I just described. The solution is not to force everyone into everything decentralized all the time. The solution is to tell everyone what's happening and make sure that you have the rails to make a decision, an informed decision for the first time about your data. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I think, both are possible. So Evan, what you're saying is right. Lots of the users got really comfortable with how easy it is, but they also haven't, experienced a world where, blockchain-powered networks can support both data privacy and still, the convenience of data being hosted by a community of servers, like basically a network of community infrastructure providers, because those exist today, which means that with Akave, our goal is for any user to have some sort of the same experience as the cloud, but the difference is they control the keys, they control the access to the data, and it's still being hosted. And to what Alex was saying, in this new model, the profits don't go to the company, the centralized company. It's going back to the user because data can be monetized. Meaning, imagine a world where you as a user can decide who has access and also can eventually decide how much money you want to make by letting people access your data. And then second to that, the infrastructure itself, you'd be surprised how many infrastructure providers there are now in the world that are running some form of infra for these crypto-powered networks, and they are legitimate infrastructure providers that run in the same data centers as, you know, the Disneys, even the Amazon servers. And it's because in the last few years, because before Akave, I worked at Protocol Labs, we built out Filecoin. Filecoin is still today the largest decentralized storage network, and Akave is the enterprise-focused version of that, and we are integrating with Filecoin as well. But really what we've seen is that to make the user experience is equivalent to what users are getting today in the cloud, you have to meet the user where they are. And what that means is you have to mimic and integrate into the same applications and mimic the same APIs. In this case, AWS, which is a powerhouse, right, has sort of like set the standard of the S3 API for how cloud apps are currently integrating with or connecting to cloud storage. And so that's why with Akave, we've built an S3 or AWS compatible. So it basically speaks the same language. So we can tap into all the tools that are currently storing data in the cloud and make it a lot easier to move it into a decentralized network, which gives you those, you know, blockchain primitives.
So you've answered this question that Denzel asked here. What is Akave? But I would like to invite you. Can you say it one more time? And can you say it without any jargon? Because I think that was very clear, but I feel like there might be just a couple of people who are still not entirely certain about what literally it is. And I think we get why we need it. But like, what literally is it? It's a network. It's an app. It's a cryptocurrency. Like, let's walk them through it one more time.
Well, first, imagine in a very simplest form, it's a community-powered AWS storage, so cloud storage. So it means that, you know, anyone in the community can contribute hardware to the Akave network. So the Akave network is a community-powered cloud storage in a nutshell, which means that anyone, an infrastructure, you have always a two-sided or multi-sided marketplace in the crypto networks that exist today. One is sort of like the providers that provide supply. Those are the infrastructure providers. Most of users don't see or know them. And then there are the application or the users that want to store data on Akave, that want to consume the infrastructure.
And permit me to interrupt you just quickly to clarify that for people who don't know, I don't think we've defined AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. A lot of the internet right now is hosted by cloud storage providers like Amazon, who maintain these big server farms so that when you want to save a file on a website, not on your computer, that it goes to one of their machines for secure storage to be accessed at the cost of you don't own it directly. You're dependent on them, their terms of agreement. It gives them a lot of power over your data. Please
and
continue.
by a lot, he means literally like 30 to 40% of the traffic on the internet is processed and handled by AWS.
Yeah, a tremendous amount. So what you're saying is we have other providers who may not be Amazon who can participate, lend their machines in this way to provide that service. Right?
That's right.
Okay, please continue.
So you always look at it as a two-sided marketplace. You have the supply and the demand. And the supply in this scenario are the infrastructure providers that provide hardware. They provide storage and infrastructure, and they get compensated for storing data for users like us. And then the demand are users that want to store data and want to take advantage of this ability to take back control, meaning there's no central entity, plus everything is encrypted, everything is controlled by your own data wallet. Right, so imagine you have a MetaMask wallet that is fully, that's basically all the data is encrypted by your encryption keys, etc. So you have full control. How it's integrated into the applications we use today is by integrating Akave into more and more applications. We've already integrated a few applications, definitely on the business side, but the benefit here is that you really control the keys, you control who has access to your data versus, storing it in the cloud and then potentially some of these cloud providers can actually access your data. And if you're using a service, fully integrated service, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, you are the product, right? As Alex said earlier, that's why it's free, because they're monetizing your behaviors by providing
That's a great way to
ads
say
or,
it. It's not that it's free, it's that you're the product.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. So now there's a big trend of like data monetization. Like, how do you monetize those data sets? And we're seeing it more and more happening. There's more solutions that are coming online that are, we call them data marketplaces, where users can bring their data to these data marketplaces. And eventually we'll be able to set controls and pricing, on how much they want to charge. And some of that is sort of, hidden in a crypto-enabled, I say crypto, but we call it Web3 enabled application. So you will be paid back automatically. Like a perfect example is the Brave browser. I don't know if you know the Brave browser, but you get, the whole notion of you decide how much advertisement you get back to, served to you, right? So you can kind of control that, meaning if you decide not to receive any advertisement, you're sort of paying to use the browser. And if you're okay with being served advertisements, then you get paid back. And this is done through a token, but this is the peer-to-peer, right? Sort of transaction where you as a user decide how much time you want to invest in advertisement or how much you want to make, right? Versus, you want to be shielded off from these advertisements and just do what you need to do on the browser. And so I think this is the peer-to-peer transaction that we're seeing now being implemented in all these applications we're seeing. And there's so many I can talk about. One that's very common to all of us is like Spotify. I mean, I'm bringing up Spotify. Basically the music industry is very centralized. It's very controlled by the label companies. And so when you look at you are using the service, you don't know how much of the revenue is going to the artist, but in general, it's only a very small amount, like 20% or so that goes back to the artist, where 80% of the margin is going to the label companies and Spotify, where in this new model, artists have a lot more abilities to like give back to the actual their audience basically, and they can the roles are switched. So artists in these new models can make 80% margin, and 20% goes back to the platform they're using. These are competing platforms with Spotify. Audius is one of those. And so that allows artists to not only make more money, but also be more flexible in how they want to reward their fans. And this is a whole new way of enabling innovation.
I have a question about how feasible it is, and a couple of other questions that have come up. Like, the first question is this expensive? Is it private? It sounds like it's flexible in terms of you can control who sees what, but I'm curious if the network is open. You mentioned it's, a business service right now, but like at the core of it, how feasible is this to use? Are we going to use this for all of our data, for everything? And how much data does the average human generate? Somebody like, me or Alex, who stream a lot online and we create a lot of content, our digital footprint is probably a lot bigger than, I don't know, my grandma who is going to visit her doctor and has a medical record and has, some small personal identifying information. Is it something that everybody can use for everything, or what will that look like? Will it be prohibitive technologically or cost-wise?
Yeah. So, well, first, all great questions.
A lot of questions. So, sorry.
First, the one we're generating like I think it's like the 500. I need to look it up again, but lots of video content on a daily basis. So it's around 177 zettabytes a year of data that's being generated. I know we have to break this down into what does actually mean in video content, but one of the benefits with decentralized infrastructure is that it's a lot cheaper and a lot more efficient than what cloud providers are providing today. And that's because, cloud providers, there's only a few large hyperscalers, and they haven't changed most of the pricing in the last 8 years. So if you look at AWS, they haven't changed their pricing in the last 8 years. But what has happened in the last 8 years is that the commodity hardware, so hardware is commodity, it's commoditized, right? It hasn't improved up to 70% in cost, which means that over the last 8 years, hardware has come down in price, but it hasn't been passed on to the end user, and the end user is actually paying the same, or you can call it inflation, a lot more than they should be. So that's one. I was looking here at how much data we generate across the world. It's around close to 50 million hours of 4K video on a daily basis. So it's a ton of data that we generate. And the second part,
zettabytes of data, and I just wanted to clarify for people, a zettabyte is a billion terabytes, a trillion gigabytes. It's a lot of data. If a gigabyte is a truck, a zettabyte is like trucks wrapped around the earth. It's huge. Please continue.
Yeah, and we don't even store. So the other problem is I used to work for Western Digital. So if you look at the supply, meaning who actually builds these drives where our videos are stored on, there's only two main companies in the world. There's a third small one. So one is Western Digital, second one is Seagate, two American companies, and the third one is Toshiba. And so you only have three main companies that are building the actual hard drives where most of the data is stored on. Yes, there's more NVMe, meaning flash manufacturers building NVMe, but the point is most of your data today is stored on these hard drives. And if you look at that space, it's kind of monopolized as well. And so what that means is that there's sort of a control of how much of these drives are being generated. And so today, the total amount of data that we generate is around 175 zettabytes in 2025, but we only store 22 zettabytes. Why? Because that's the only amount of capacity that's being manufactured. So there's actually less manufacturing that's being, that's of these drives that are being manufactured to store the data. And that's because it's run by for-profit organizations that are trying to keep their margins high. And so if you look at, if you would manufacture more drives, you could sell them, but you don't want to saturate the market. And so there's a little bit of a focus control, like on how many devices are being generated. So this means that we're not storing most of the data we generate. And so with these decentralized networks, this allows us to store not only a lot more, but we also can provide, lower cost structures, plus anyone can participate. Because if you want to disrupt one of these large monopolies or hyperscalers, you can't do it by yourself. Even if you raise a ton of money, if you think about it today, you would need to raise billions of dollars to even, compete at a base level with some of these large entities. Instead, what is so unique about, Web3 or crypto space is that you can enable a community now, and you can go from day one, you are worldwide, meaning once you release a token, once you release a product and you make it open for anyone to participate, what is amazing is that definitely we've seen this in Filecoin, and we're still seeing this today. People in, Japan, in Singapore, Africa, all over Europe, Brazil, everywhere in the world, people can organize themselves around a similar or the same mission, and they can provide their infrastructure, their contribution in return for being rewarded and returning a yield. So it's like you have the ability now to invest in a company, and that company is a network. And that's what Akave Network is as well. And so that allows us to bootstrap and start up a much larger organization, a larger ecosystem than we could ever do ourselves by raising money from investors or raising money from like, family offices, because everyone gets a stake. And if, you don't have to necessarily knock on people's doors, because people will actually, believe in your mission or they don't.
Yeah.
And if they believe
They'll
in your
evangelize
mission,
for you.
exactly. Yeah.
So it feels like a good kind of natural evolution of what you're talking about right now to kind of take it to how everyday people could get involved. Because when I think about this as a concept, as a process, it makes a lot of sense for someone like me who literally makes a career out of generating data and storing it places and cataloging all of my videos and sounds and yada, 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 whatever. But if I was just working as a, person in a completely different field that maybe doesn't immediately present itself as being data heavy, even though we know that it probably is still generating data, how would someone get started participating in this kind of new methodology of managing, handling, and understanding their data a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to go about it. One, if you're a little bit more advanced and you already are using tooling yourself to store data in AWS, you could reuse those tools and connect to, let's say, an Akave endpoint. If you are, if you're currently using multiple apps on your phone, then it's a matter of looking at alternative apps that are, more built with that kind of foundation and crypto native capabilities. And so there's different solutions that exist today. And it kind of depends from vertical to vertical. Like I mentioned, Spotify versus Audius, you have alternatives to Zoom, you have alternatives. There's definitely a whole ecosystem that's brewing and applications that are coming up. So it kind of depends from application to application. But you could start, but by the way, if you're, another one, which I like, is when you like using ChatGPT or OpenAI, or you can download Ollama. Ollama is like the open source version that you can run locally on your laptop. And so that's,
How do we spell that? Ollama? And what's the URL?
I'll look it up here. Let me find the Ollama, OLLAMA.com. I like that project. So that project is like, you can download. So, okay, what happens in the last 2 years is that these LLMs that were these foundational models, Meta actually helped there because they made it obviously open source. And the benefit is that you can download Ollama to your laptop and you can run these models, they're open source, on your own data sets. And that's an interesting way of like not sharing your personal information with a ChatGPT, for example, because one of the challenges today is that as you're using these services, you're also sharing a lot about yourself, what you're doing, and that data gets sort of like used to train those LLMs. And if you really want to take more control, you can do that by some of these LLMs that are running locally. And there's other projects like Venice AI is another project, very similar. Yeah. It runs in your browser. So, Eric Vervaet is running that project. But this is the movement that's happening, right? It's like, how do you take back control? And so there's still a lot of work that we need to invest. Like we need to invest in making a lot more easier to use these tools. And that's also where with Akave we are integrating with a lot more applications, because these applications will be the applications that users will eventually use. And so by bringing these capabilities into the application stack, it will naturally be integrated into our day-to-day business, our day-to-day activities without even knowing that we're using blockchain, because that's really where it's going to become very effective if users don't have to worry about, or don't even have to think about, how do I install my wallet? Because it is still very cumbersome in a lot of ways, remembering your 24 passphrase and I think there's a lot more. There are a lot more services now that are simplifying this, and so you'll see a lot more applications coming online in the next year, because I see a lot of development that's happening today. I mean, the other one is like we see a ton of smart agents, right? We're seeing a ton of AI agents being built, and there will be new applications coming out that will download and use that will have this built in. But with these AI agents, here the question as well is, how much of your data, how much of your behaviors do you want to share with these agents in return for using a free service? And I think we're going to see a lot more, definitely, applications that are coming out of Web3 that are engaging the user in a way that the user has some stake in this. And we're seeing it. I mean, Olama is an example, but there's so many others that I know that are being built right now, and data privacy is key. And
you mentioned Eric Voorhees, and we've talked about Venice before on the show. I was introduced to that concept kind of at the AI crypto boom, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And something that has stuck in my mind about the intersection of AI and cryptography is something I heard Eric Voorhees say, that AI needs the kind of verification that only crypto can provide. And the future that I imagine is one where everybody will have an LLM that necessarily is private. It only responds to them, is secured by a private key, and probably has its own private key, so that other LLMs on the internet, because I won't interact with you directly most of the time. My agent will interact with your agent at my permission and request. And everything on the internet is probably going to be agentic. Is kind of the future I see, in terms of it's going to be more efficient. It's going to be easier for agents to do work. And everybody is going to need to know whether or not what they are interfacing with is a person, an agent. And we need private keys to tell us.
Totally. I mean, look, a perfect example. I was talking to my mom the other day. She called me and she said, "Hey, did you just use my credit card in Germany?" And I was like, that's a scam. And she's like, "Yeah, I figured it was a scam." But the point I'm trying to make is that the scams have gone out of it's been crazy. The other day I was asked to join a podcast, Alex. I was asked to podcast, and it was very weird. I didn't see any references of the podcast. I was just intrigued because I wanted to see how far are they going to go. So I joined their Zoom, which was the podcast interview, and 3 people showed up. They were not on, they didn't have their camera on. I said, "Guys, we're not having a conversation if you don't switch your Zoom on." And their goal was to really record my voice, even though I'm all over the internet already. But the point was, they were trying to steal my identity. And this is super scary, right? And if you look at what has happened, even with your phone, I mean, I look at myself. I remember when the cell phone came out. We used to have a phone at home. We pick it up when it calls. Then we got a cell phone. Then it was more more scam calls on your phone. You stop picking up your phone. My phone is now 100% on mute. Now I'm only relying on text messages, or I only pick up phone calls of people that are in my address book. And now my friends have also moved over to Signal and Telegram. And so you're seeing this transition of, I don't trust anymore any incoming call. And so my point with this is, eventually we'll only trust what we can verify, and we will only be able to verify it if it's somewhere on a blockchain. And so I'm a big believer, and this is also one of our hypotheses, is that Akave is that eventually all data sets, all our transactions will need to happen on chain. On chain meaning there is a verifiable entry on a decentralized ledger. And why this decentralized ledger is important is because there is no single government or entity that could change or tamper your action, your transaction. Yes, there's full transparency at the same time, but there's also a level of trust that comes with it, because now you can trust that whoever says there are, or whoever is reaching out to you, you can actually then verify that that person is truly who they say they are. And I think, in the future, all transactions will live on chain. It's going to take a while to get there, but the cell phone the way I handle my calls today is a perfect example of how I completely distrust, incoming calls or strangers trying to reach out to me. And so I think there's a lot of work still to be done there, but it starts by bringing those data sets or your transactions on chain. And that's the browser, that's the way we interact with our apps, the way we use LLMs, all of this. And you can see this movement towards that, which is great. It's a whole new, new opportunity. And it's going to improve our lives. And it's driven also a little bit out of fear too, of if we don't do that, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen? Okay. So as we prepare to land this plane, I would like to know more about what your recommended next steps are for people, for Akave Network, how they can get involved. But I want to invite everybody who's playing along back home to drop your questions in the comment. If you've got a last minute question, a suggestion, a good joke, or a word of wisdom before we ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset for the weekend, then you know what to do. Drop it in the comments. Stefaan, how can people who want to learn more about Akave or participate with you get started? What are the next steps that you would recommend for people who like this vision, are excited about the solutions you're presenting? What can they do starting now?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple community members that we support. One, builders. If you're a builder, you're building a startup, you want to participate in our network, you can go to akave.ai, go to the docs.akave.xyz. You'll see how to connect to our network. That's our website, and you'll see docs on the top right corner there. Second, if you're a business looking to store data and you want to reduce your cost, we can reduce your cost by 80% versus AWS. So reach out to us there as well. You can connect directly with us, set up a meeting. And third, if you're interested in being an infrastructure provider, you want to contribute to building out the network, reach out to us as well. If you're a user that wants to play around, again, have a look at our docs. We're actually building out more applications. So applications that you can use on a daily basis and integrate those with Akave. So there's going to be new documentation coming out for all these applications, or follow us on Twitter and stay up to date on the latest on Akave. And we also have a great mascot that you'll see there, which is if you go down, Blaze. Blaze is our mascot.
Where's Blaze? Let me see.
Come on, there must be a.
It's the Rise Up Morning Show all over the place. I love it.
Yeah, right.
Hey, there we go.
It's a honey badger. There's the honey badger. Yes, because
and you know what they say about honey badgers?
What do they say about honey badgers, Alex? I don't know.
Wait, Evan.
What?
Are you asking me to set me up, or do you not know? Because with you, I can
absolutely
never tell.
Actually don't know what they say about honey badgers. What do they say about honey badgers,
Evan.
Alex?
All right.
Come on,
okay,
you got to show the video.
Stefaan, quick little piece of backstory for you. Evan is a trained actor, has been in TV shows on NBC that you can watch right now on Peacock that he never advertises, but I'll show the hell out of him. He's been in commercials. He's the only person I know that is legitimately like an actor that gets cast in stuff. And he's also never seen any movies and he knows nothing about anything in pop culture, even though he lives on the internet. So it's a running joke that I'll say something like, like
Luke,
I
May the
am
4th
your
be with
father,
you, or whatever.
And be like, Evan, that's a reference to a movie called Star Wars. And there's a character called Darth Vader because he's never seen anything. So Evan, the honey badger don't give a shit.
Apparently
that's the whole thing. It's just I'll show you the video after. There's a great video of this honey badger like in a battle with a snake, and honey badger don't give a shit, and that's kind of like the whole thing. So the honey badger is just notorious for not giving a shit. Okay. And it's a classic meme.
Well, I got to educate myself.
It's a classic meme, and that's how we feel. I mean, we're like we don't care. We're gonna go against the grain. We're gonna make it work. Honey badger don't give a shit. So
Evan, I think you rugged my sound on TikTok.
Man, I love it. Alex, I don't think I rugged your sound on TikTok. If I did,
everyone says I'm muted.
Alex, help me out. You got to help me out. Hold tight. We rugged you on TikTok. Maybe let me do this. 1, 2, 3. Give me some ABCs.
ABCs. I'm getting mixed reports. It's someone can just hear me and nobody else, and Evan is the only one with volume and muted Alex.
We got you now.
Rugged.
Don't fret. Don't sweat about it. And if you have issues with the volume, if you have issues with my pop culture knowledge, the place to air your grievances is on the recording in the future. You can catch this recording with perfect sound on YouTube, on your favorite podcast platform. You can check out the Rise Up Morning Show. We'd love to see you there. Stefaan, is the best place for people to find you also on X? Is that what you would recommend?
Yeah, reach out to me on X. That's fine.
That's Stefaan Web3 on X.
I gotta come up with a better name.
Just like his face. No, man, that's iconic. Stefaan Web3. I think it's great.
Concise, to the point.
Yeah.
I know what I'm getting.
So before we ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset for the weekend, is there a final thought that you have for our audience and ask for them, or any other way that we can support you before we take our shows on the road?
Yeah, I mean, feel free to reach out if you're looking for some support, if you're looking for a cool app that you would like to see built on Akave, or you have a problem statement that you think would be cool for us to build and help you with, let us know. I always love user feedback, real problems that we can solve, because there's so many opportunities that we can help with that, we're interested to hear all of yours feedback and voice. So
awesome.
Reach.
We definitely will. Alex, what about you, brother?
On the show. Yeah.
Hey, man, thank you so much for being here. It's a really good time to get to just hang out with our friends, talk about the future internet, and then make it a little more possible to people. So we definitely would love to have you back again sometime. Alex, what about you, man? Do you have a final thought, question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom for the people?
No, just echoing Stefaan, thanks so much for joining us today. It was great. I know we navigated a few connection issues in the beginning, but I'm glad that it worked out, because I know that it gets a bad rap as being kind of a boring topic. We're just talking about data storage and protection, but it's literally the core of everything. This is all of it. It's all data. Like, everything we're doing here is data focused. It's data first, and just anything that we can do to pull wool back a little bit more to reveal like how hardcore we are just being farmed and how much money is being made off of what we do that you're not able to get any piece of. It should piss everybody off. And so any chance that we get to talk to someone actively working on that side of the industry is a good day for me. So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
thank you, man.
Big time. And we appreciate all of you for being here, for spending your time with us. Don't forget, the Rise Up Morning Show is live Monday through Thursday to share helpful news, commentary, answers to your crypto questions. We want to be the place you send the people in your real life who are curious or skeptical about cryptocurrency. Onboarding your mom since 2017. That's the motto. That's the vibe. The only thing missing is you. So if you need to get connected with helpful resources, like the links to the podcast, like the free Web3 glossary or do your own research guide, the place to go is theriseupmorningshow.com. Easy to remember because it's the name of our show. And of course, what are you going to find there? Now you're going to find the link to register for our free event at Consensus. We're doing Rise Up Live at Consensus in Toronto next week. We'd love to see you there. Whether you can attend IRL, definitely, or online, we'll be streaming there, and we'll be streaming live too for Rise Up After Dark, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Stefaan, thank you. Akave Network, thank you. Polygon Labs, big thank you. But most of all, thank you. Yes, you, for being the very best part of what we do. My friends, everybody have a great weekend. Until next time, stay safe, be well,